sheriff Nichols pidió salir. Era una luchadora.
Atención, nivel de oxígeno bajo.
Pero ha muerto, siendo una heroína para el silo.
¡Estás mintiendo!
So, I mean, season 2 is basically the second half of the first book in Hugh Howey's Silo trilogy. And we had to invent certain stuff in the first season to fill out this 10 episodes. In the second season, there was a lot of story. We made some big changes, but all within the world and the characters. It was fun to tell 2 stories. The question became, how do we do that? And so we decided early on that the first episode would be all Juliet. And so we ended up with this episode where our Juliet, Rebecca, basically says nothing the entire episode. But when you get Rebecca Ferguson doing that, it's just compelling because she's such a physical actor and just also emotive. I mean, her eyes are it. So that was a fun episode, directed by Michael Dinner, who I've worked with all the years at Justified, and I knew he would just nail it. And he came up with some. There are things that happen in the episode that weren't in the original script that Michael said, "What about this?" And I was like, "Okay, let's go." And then, you know, we thought, well, the second episode should be all in Silo 18. So let's see what's going on with Bernard and Knox and Shirley and Walker and all of these characters that we got to know, and Sims, dear Lord Sims and his wife Camille, and Billings, and on down. We've got a rich world in 18, so we had a lot of story to tell there. And then from then on, we just go back and forth within the episodes. But that was the challenge, but it was also the great, we felt it was fertile ground, having 2 stories to tell. I think the big one is Bernard. We just see more and more about Bernard. We find out more of his history, that he had this almost romantic relationship with Judge Meadows 25 years ago, and she was his shadow, and then she quit after just a short period of time. What led to that? And that's sort of a mystery that gets unspooled over the course of the season. I always felt that Bernard, you know, and I talked about it with Hugh Howey, and he agreed that Bernard had the worst job in the silo. He had to do horrible things to what he felt would save the silo by keeping people from rebelling, going up, opening up the airlock, and killing everyone. So, you know, he's an interesting character, and it was fun to explore that. And you get Tim Robbins doing it. It's like, okay, let's go. Well, you know, we didn't know who we were going to cast, and then as Solo, and then Steve Zahn's name came up, and Rebecca and I were like, wow, man, can we get him? Turns out he's dear friends with someone who's also in the show, Rick Gomez, who plays Patrick Kennedy, the guy with the big beard. You know, crazy stuff happens to him this season. So Steve was in, and we Zoomed with him, and away we go. Well, then Rebecca and Steve get on the set together, and they just absolutely just meshed. And they had so much fun. And I think for Rebecca to play off this guy who once, you know, doesn't want to come out of the vault, then doesn't want to be touched, but then just can't stop talking. And for Juliet, that's like a wonderful annoyance. So that was fun for them to play.
La sheriff Nichols pidió salir. Era una luchadora.
Atención, nivel de oxígeno bajo.
Pero ha muerto, siendo una heroína